quite quickly. And Teeny and Shark looking to jump on Sato right now. They're trying to get inside the box. Sato retreating, and Pink is getting on over as well. Could that be it for Pink and Sato right here? Could they get together in a nice position? It's nicely blocked from Pink. Shark still looking for an angle, finds one, and Pink is down on the HP.
Part of the problem there, though, is that Teeny also took a good chunk of his health in the process here. So now he's got to rely on Shark to alleviate some of that pressure. But with another duo potentially coming into the fold here, Sato, Pink, they're going to take this opportunity to try and fully disengage. But Teeny still looking to give chase, utilizing the gloves even just to try and close that gap. But this might be more than what he bargained for. But instead, Pink can't make it through the porta potty. Gets caught right as he is about to go through the doorway, and that is so unfortunate. Sato did manage to get out of there, Mini, but now they have to play for the revive and reboot, and you have to anticipate Shark, Teeny, they're already secure because of their placement points alone. They can afford to spend all the time that they need to inside a storm and just wait this one out.
So difficult here for Pink and Sato, a team that we highlighted at the beginning of the day. It's looking like they're going to need to rely on a victory royale right now to qualify through in that last game. If Sato can't make anything of this, Cheesy down. This is a team that we saw doing very well at Battlewood previously. And it's Heath and Blisey that are actually able to find that elimination. Really nicely done from them all the way back in the storm. I think it's one of those where you probably didn't expect there to be a team there, but now Gold Boy has it all to do.
Might still be able to actually utilize this reboot, but one more time, these teams, when they're able to find those eliminations, it all depends on the time frame. And when your time to elimination is a little bit more stretched out than when you wanted it to be, you just become that much more susceptible. Even if you're the duo that retains a somewhat of a power position from finding those 3 points off the elimination, you're still hanging around in an area, you're still delaying your rotates and positioning. We've seen just how important it's been for so many of these teams. Whenever they're late heading into the edge zone or anything like that, they immediately get caught out by teams that are much more established. And one of those teams I think has been doing a great job at kind of elevating themselves in general. It's been Cringe and Twy here today.
Yeah, they've been really good today, and you know, it's a situation that they could only sort of dream of being in, I suppose, at the beginning of the day. You know, they're not necessarily the highest amount of experience team, if you want to put it like that, in the lobby. Twy has made a few grand finals, and Cringe has made one, so you know, it's not like they're complete newcomers to it, but they're gonna have a few nerves, I'm sure, going into these last couple of games. Handling it well, though. As Lunex and WX, we saw these guys in a solid position in endgame up on high, also find themselves just inside of that qualification range. So they're another team that are looking to hang on for as long as they possibly can. And they're doing so very well right now. They had that one big pop-off game. They've had some pretty solid placements as well. They've had a 3rd and a 12th. So what they've been able to do is just keep chipping away despite a little bit of a wobble at the beginning of the day. They've kept finding themselves in those endgame situations.
Bad news there, though, for some of these teams, just on that slightly congested portion of the edge of zone right now. Focus and Kale, they have a little bit of leverage here, but not if they don't find the piece that they need to. Focus gonna have the shields entirely dropped, and immediately just the collapse of this duo. That was a great moment there from Tarps and Noya. They definitely needed that refresh. They definitely needed the surge damage, and now it gives them the opportunity to just look for bettering their positioning. But Teeny still lurking around. He's definitely taken notice of some of these teams that are a little bit late to the party here and just looking to apply damage where he can. But as a solo, that's where things become a little bit more difficult. Lost Shark along the way.
At the beginning of the game, they were just trying to W key no matter what in the storm. It was all a bit chaotic, so I suppose they didn't really care too much that they're in this situation, as long as Pink's team weren't in a good situation in the end game. But Teeny's got it all to do. We've seen a solo clutch already today. Can we get another, potentially with a slightly different result? Maybe not a win, but we'll see. As Robin finally makes his way inside of the zone as well. Nicely done from him. This is a nice little rotation, actually, sort of on the less congested side, as a lot of people have already rotated on his own, though, and that's always going to be difficult.
Yeah, it would have been a lot better if he still had his duo Hyper with him. I think it's also important to kind of highlight that before these two joined together, in previous format similar to this, they've managed to find individual wins. So now as a duo, game 4, obviously, that's probably going to have to depend on lobby number 5 if they're able to find that kind of success together. But Robin's still not counting himself out by any means, has a decent amount of points heading into this point in first place. And so now it's all going to come down to just how much more placement can you secure, because the lobby is rapidly dwindling, Mini, and that's kind of to be expected as we approach the secondary half of today's competition.
Pretty important, and now this is where sort of Storm Surge really becomes a factor. That's absolutely vital for the teams. For Yapko and Panzer, not particularly something they have to worry too much about, with 1,116 above, so they're looking pretty strong in that department. They've got a nice zone pull as well. Difficult for the rest of the lobby. You can see on that east side of the zone. The zone pulls west, and they've got to get over this water, which is always just a little bit of a challenge, particularly when the players that are already in the zone are situated there and are able to almost fort up and base up to then look back. Is that Vico on his own right there as well, I think. I don't see Malibuka anywhere, so almost adding to their sorrows, because they're a team that are inside of that top 5 for qualification via consistency. Yeah, Vico on his own, so having to do it all, but inside of the placement point, so every single placement now does matter for them. It's going to keep adding up for their pushes here into the top 5.
It's obvious, though, Vigo was hoping to avoid a lot of that lobby congestion by kind of wrapping around more towards like a dead side position. But as a solo, it's so difficult to actually try and lock down these rotational patterns without somebody taking notice. But yet, Vico has managed to find a way, a little bit elevated too, even on the side of this hill, but with Cheeps directly overhead. He's going to really have to be very aware of not getting focused by the duos around him. Cammy, Hadi doing a great job right now at punishing Truly and Zynox for just being a little bit too slow to get forward on their position. And this is exactly what Cammy and Hadi needed. Just every single point that they can try and secure to confirm whether or not they're going to be able to retain their position inside the consistency metrics for the leaderboard.
Solo versus solo violence right here. Cheeps on his own, shooting down towards Vico down there. Is that in full zone? No, it's going to go a little bit more towards the east for Cheeps. Again, 78 points, just lurking around that top 5 qualification mark, so need to absolutely make the most of this game, even just to set themselves up for as good of a game 5 as they can possibly have. If they're not going to be able to make their way into the top 5 now, you've got to at least give it a possibility, give yourself a chance going into the final game. Not able to connect with any shots right there. Vico goes down, so the solo dream is over for him, but a valiant effort to make it into the top 22.
Backside of zone is just so volatile as a solo, because there's always going to be duos kind of lingering, hoping that they can actually pull together a Sypha Materials elimination. That was exactly what Ken and Crypulse needed, but now overhead, Waze and Effexy, they've actually managed to take current control of height, but with this kind of material count Mini, it's only a matter of time before they'll be forced to drop, whether it's to go for body loot or just to try and find more eliminations. It just doesn't seem like this is going to be a height hold that they're going to be able to control, but the fact that the zone has pulled over water is definitely paying into their favor, because all these teams underneath them are burning through their builds just as quickly.
Such a horrible zone for all of these players that are down below, as Cringe and Twy make their way towards the front side of zone. Really nice rotate from them, avoiding so much damage. And Waze and Effexy, all their job right now is to make themselves look as strong as possible. Even if their material count isn't looking so strong, they need to make it look as such. There's going to be so many people that are going to be looking up at that height, particularly at this stage of competition. They want to make it their own. Yapko and Panzer, another team inside of that sort of mid-ground, looking really, really strong. Robin's still alive and well as a solo, looking strong as well. They need it all to do. 2 teams on very, very similar points that are looking to break into that top 5. This could be the game to do it.
Robin just has to make sure that he doesn't have his floor disappear from underneath him and fall straight into the clutches of a duo that is hurting. But he's done a great job at just playing towards the backside. Will manage to find another elimination, and a full box of pizza on top of the Jug Jug is going to buy him so much more time. He can choose to just try and play out these heals and hope that it's able to secure in the placement points while the zone continues moving forward. So some ground to make up for, but Twek, Hydro doing what they can from ultimate low, trying to see if there's anybody that they can drop into their box. Cringe and Twy have also played it so slow and steady. They only have a handful of builds left over, but that doesn't matter if they're able to find the connecting shots for eliminations, and that's just going to keep them paving forward. Robin does go down, though, will eventually be taken out by the Storm. Just too much, and it's just not enough time left to work with here. But Effexian Ways, again, just great scenes for them currently. But things could change at a moment's notice, like they just did for Yapko and Panzer.
Yeah, Effexian Waves have had to drop down as well. Vegeta now claims that high ground position. Not seeing his teammate too close by, but Chari and Cammy, they're in a really nice position. They don't have too many builds, but they're able to play a little bit of this Storm, play patient, go for the pre-edit. There's Effexi goes down. That's going to be one. Can they find the finish for it? The body goes down to the Storm. Twex actually able to pick up that refresh as well, so it's not going to go to Hari and Cammy, but that's a huge elimination for them and a huge way to keep their game going. They've just got no builds here, Taco. They haven't got anything to work with. They need to try and make it count as Hari finds one. There goes another, and Cammy is able to find two as well. That's 4 eliminations for the...
You never count out the Polish powerhouses. Cammy and Hadi, they're managing to make it happen here, even with Vegeta as a solo overhead. Hadi and Cammy are locked in their own dimension here inside the underlayers. Hadi, Cammy now looking to move straight towards front side of zone. Handful of materials left, but that might be all they need. They can keep stringing together these shots, but Cringe, Twy also not looking to go down without a fight here. Siphon just in the nick of time here is Cringe. Now waiting to see if he can get another onto Pixovsky, and Saren duo fully eliminated now. Twy, Cringe, all they need to do is make it into the zone itself, but Nefrizzi, he's gonna slow them down, along with Vegeta over on height. Cammy, Hadi, now seemingly the most healthy team in this lobby here. Game 4, this could be the one to do it.
This is where Cammy knows best, all the way down on low ground, top 3 situation. They're the only duo in the game. Nefrizzi up on high. Vegeta's still there as well. He's had to give it up, so now he's going to drop down into the doom of Cammy and Hari, who does get eliminated right there. So it's all down to Cammy and Hari down on low ground. The duo against Nefrizzi, the team that the analysts didn't think would win, but Hari goes down in the Storm. It's going to be Cammy versus Nefrizzi as a 1v1, but that's only going one way. And it's Cammy and Hari are going to make their way into the Major 1 finals in style.
As if Cammy would ever miss a shot like that in the final moments. I'm sorry, it was a great attempt there from the Fizzy Mini, but HP bars do not lie. Fantastic victory royale in Game 4 here for Hardy and Cammy, but what's the Des got to say about it?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you know what? I'm glad Mini Miner remembered, because for a second I almost didn't remember. It was quite some time ago, but the last segment we did, boys, we were talking about Cammy and Hari. We talked about what would they need to do to guarantee that they are in the grand finals next weekend. Reese, you had some advice for them, and it does feel like they played to your advice, right? They win the game, but maybe not in the more aggressive style that some of the other teams are attempting to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, I said play the same playstyle. Clearly, they listened. That's most important. They had time to sit and do a little bit extra VOD review and see what the teams around them were doing, see what the strategies were from everywhere, and they managed to, make it succeed. Make the best of the scenario that you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, the only dud they had was the first match of the day where they got 24th, and since then, and when you said, just play it safe, don't go super aggressive, do your consistency route, it's exactly what they did. 9th, 7th, and now the win.
Absolutely. This is something you kind of expect out of this team every single game. In order for them to actually pop off, be at the top of the leader for some of the biggest teams, this is the kind of match we need every single game. They didn't get a single elim up until the 11th zone in this match. So super, super pacifist, playing every single build out, which is usually what they do, and then jumping in. You see a lot of the other teams, like we kind of mentioned, Malibu, Kafiko, who go for that elim early. In the 6th, 7th zone, they're so heavily dependent on it. Whereas Cammy and Hari, they just play out the whole game and frag out from then on.
Yeah, and thinking of Cammy specifically, I mean, he's a player who, when new season started, would be one of the first to kind of hop on the meta for that season. And now with the changes of less players playing in Storm, kind of rotating more quickly, it has actually played out quite well for them in this set lobby. So I'm excited to see how they play in the finals.
I don't want to get too ahead of myself, boys, but based off of what you've seen from them today, what do you make of their chances for next weekend? I just want to know quickly, because a lot of people, it doesn't feel like the hype and the machine is around them, right? We don't see people bigging them up as much as we have in the past. You think you can surprise people?
Look, you asked for my underdog pick at the start of the day. I said Cringe Volko, but it was between Cringe Volko and Hari Kami. There were the two in my mind that I couldn't quite pick one from. And I mean, I did pick Cringe Volko, but I do think now, seeing Kami qualify, it's going to be a little high up on the middle end of the leaderboard. You know, maybe like a 10th could be possible, but I don't know if I'd see them in the top 5, to be honest.
All right, well, look, plenty more to break down from this game. We will get to it, but we have a quick break, so stick around and we'll see you soon. Players left in Heat 1 now to try and secure a spot in that major finals. One spot will go to the winner of this next game, but for everybody else, it's about doing enough for consistency. One team who it feels like has been doing enough up to this point is Cringe and Twy, and I know this is a team you're very excited about, Reese.
It is, you know, I would love to, I could give you them strats, I could give you the history of the team, but all that matters is that Cringe is actually Scottish, so, you know, it doesn't matter.
That's the real analysis.
That's the
That's the real
breakdown.
analysis.
On a real note, they have been playing incredibly well. I mean, top 10 in the first game, and after that, 4th, 6th, 4th. I mean, in terms of heats, that is beyond expectations to be a qualifying duo through consistency. So, I mean, I'd like to see them end on a bang and, you know, win the last match. But either way, I mean, you can almost guarantee that they're going to make it through consistency.
Definitely. And, you know, for Cringe to Try, in a reality, you know, when you look at the playstyle, when you look at the match history, I don't really see these guys ever dropping a double-digit ELIB game. You know, you don't see them going absolutely insane. They're a team who has strats on strats on strats, whether they play Storm. You know, right now they're dropping mid-map, which is extremely good for this current meta where, you know, most people are just trying to get to